So here's what I'm thinking. Perhaps it's time for me to explain the title of the blog. Frankly, it comes from a rather simple, yet somewhat disturbing realization. I am not who I want to be. Now, it's not that I have some deep, dark secret, or at least not one that I'm currently ready to reveal. I mean, after all, we kinda just met. It's just that it's come to my attention that the person that I want to be and the person that I actually am are not necessarily in agreement. At least that's what my subconscious told me. Perhaps I better explain. I was in San Diego at a leadership conference a while back that was quite powerful. I might write on the whole thing someday, but right now I want to focus on one morning. The morning exercise was one where we were asked to get in touch with our subconscious and what was happening there. And in order to do that, we were told to gather in a room and stand in silence and try to remember what dreams we had from the night before. And by remembering those dreams, try to see if our subconscious self was trying to give any messages to our conscious brains. So, I stood in this room with about 50 other people who were able to immediately and eagerly access intense dreams about white sharks and birth canals, and I stood there, and for the life of me, I could not think of one damn dream I had. And the more I listened to the people around me talking, the more agitated I became. So I was thinking, consciously to myself, what an unproductive use of time this was. How I felt angry that I had no white sharks in my psyche. And then I heard it clearly in a voice that was both mine and not mine. You are not a peaceful person. Whoa. Well, of course, I immediately started arguing with the voice. I am too a peaceful person. I mean, come on. After all, I'm a leadership instructor. I have a button on my briefcase that says Teach Peace. Obviously, you do not know me very well. Of course, in the moment, I didn't even realize the laughable irony of the situation. I mean, here I was trying to prove that I was a peaceful person by having an intense argument with my own self. So I decided that this message from my subconscious was perhaps confused or maybe tired. It's kind of like asking a question of a magic 8-ball, and if you don't like the response, you just shake it again until you get a new one. So once again, I tried to access my inner thoughts. And soon my brain was filled with intense and vibrant and colorful images from the movie Kung Fu Panda. Okay, you need to know a couple of things about me. First of all, I love movies. I love movies. When I was younger as a kid, the perfect day for me was to go to a movie in the afternoon. And when that movie was over, I would slip into another theater and continue to watch movies until about midnight. Now, granted, I was younger then, broke, and apparently ethically challenged. So now I go to movies one at a time and pay for them, but still, my love for the cinema has not eroded. The second thing you need to know is I have 3 children, and I love them too. But my point is, it is safe to say that I have seen every G-rated movie that has come along in the last decade. So, given these things, the fact that right now my brain was filled with images of animated characters pretending to be kung fu masters was not all that surprising. I mean, if you're going to daydream, having Jack Black in your head is not a bad way to go. What I wasn't ready for, though, was the return of the voice. But ready or not, here it came. You want to be the turtle, but you're really the fox. Double woe. If you haven't seen the movie Kung Fu Panda, here's what you need to know. The turtle is not just any turtle. The turtle is Master Oogway, old and very wise, and with his wisdom comes the peace of allowing the universe to shape itself in the way that it intends, at the pace and in the direction that it unfolds, which is hardly ever in a straight line. Oogway trusts that and does not fight it. I should say for the record that I, on the other hand, am not a big fan of trusting anything to shape itself. Oh, at least not without my help. Besides, Oogway seems old, frail, and a bit weak. I mean, he walks slow and with a cane. You also hear that Oogway defeated the strongest of all enemies, Tai Lung, and banished him. And upon hearing that in the movie, you both do not know how that could have happened, but at the same time, do not doubt that it isn't true. I guess it's a Yoda thing. Now, the character of the fox, Shifu, is also a kung fu master. However, that is where the similarities between Oogway and Shifu end. Shifu is powerful, competent, determined. He shouts out orders and commands deep respect. He is a master of strategy and planning. He directs and leads those around him. He moves very quickly, and people scramble to get out of his way. He is also a bit anxious and, gulp, do I say, agitated? So I knew what my subconscious was trying to tell me, but I wasn't about to agree with it without a fight. Well, not everyone can be the turtle, you know, I shouted back, albeit in my head. Maybe my role is the one who takes charge, who gets things done, who leads. Doesn't the world need more leaders, especially those who are willing to drive ahead, to take risks and push forward? But my subconscious was waiting for me, almost as if it knew what I was about to say. Which makes sense, of course. I mean, it wasn't like I was talking to somebody else's inner thoughts. Drive ahead, take risks, push forward. Drive, take, push. These are not the thoughts of a peaceful person. I argued right back. Well, maybe the fox, though, is who I am. Maybe that's my skill set. What's wrong with being the fox? Maybe I am meant to be the fox. The voice stayed calm, even as I wasn't. Do you realize you are shouting, albeit in your head? There is nothing wrong with being the fox, but perhaps we are not meant to be anything. Maybe we are who we are, but as importantly, we are in charge of becoming who we are becoming. You know, you can always get a new skill set. I looked hard for a response. Something about, do you know how much time it takes to obtain a skill set? But this time my subconscious didn't wait for me. Besides, the voice said, you're the one who wants to be the turtle. And then the voice, along with the movie images in my head, were gone. I was back in San Diego, and there was a person in front of the room who was telling us that time was up. It was time to go to the next session. As people filed out of the room, I stayed locked in place. I noticed that my jaw was clenched and that my hands were in fists. A big part of me wanted to rush out of the room, to grab some coffee and get in line for the next session where I could, no doubt, let my skill set shine. But before I left the room, I was hit with two thoughts. The first one was a question. Why are we not the person that we want to be? What is holding us back? Is it because we think when we reach a certain age we are just done growing, that we are who we are, and that growth is no longer possible? Is it because We are afraid to come to grips with the fact that we perhaps are not living up to our potential, are not living our dreams. And to admit that to the world means that we are not quite as put together as we have led others and ourselves to believe. Are we just happy with our current lives, or at least happy enough? And although this may not exactly be the life that we want, we at least know how to live this one with few mistakes and few surprises. Though I do love surprises. Or is it perhaps just because change is hard? And perhaps we feel we are not strong enough or powerful enough to make the kind of changes we want in our life. Yes, change is hard. But maybe it's not too hard. What's the old line? They put the hurdles and obstacles in front of us to see how bad we want it. Which was my second thought, that I wanted it. Or at least I wanted to try for it. And suddenly I knew what my next adventure would be, the adventure that I had been seeking since my birthday. I knew the pathway that I needed to take, whether I knew where it was headed or not, in my year of preparation. I needed to become Oogway, and I had a year to do it.